Today we're joined by Nick Hopcraft from Highways England. A short while ago Nick was kind enough to come and deliver a presentation at one of the ResoLex Roundtable evenings called Collaboration Up Front. So we want to just delve a little bit more into that topic with Nick and how Highways England are using collaborative working. So for a start, Nick, how do you term collaborative working for Highways England?
Well, I think in essence it's working together. So we need to employ different parts of the supply chain to deliver our work. So we employ consultants to design their work, we employ contractors to build it. Sometimes we get the contractor to do the design as well. And the client will have a good idea of what he wants. He doesn't always have that. He needs some help maybe to define it. But his concept needs to be taken into reality in what is actually built. And we take the view that actually that is better done taking all of the team together and actually building a sort of a collaborative team that actually looks at getting the best outcome that they can, pooling all of the resources and the skills and the knowledge to do that. And collaboration just happens to be the medium by which we do that. It's effectively, say, bringing the collective minds together to solve the problems that are faced, to deal with the risks that are invariably occur through the construction process, in order that everybody can come out at the end and say, job well done.
And at the moment, can you try to sort of put a handle on what is it that Highways England hope to gain through a collaborative relationship rather than a straight transactional relationship?
Well, I think it comes down to how efficiently you can get to that end result. I think over the years, and we've suffered, as most of the construction industry in some way, through old style contracts which are called collectively adversarial ones, where they've been set up in a way where the relationship was always sort of at odds, so that when a problem arose, the contract came out and said, oh, I'm going to claim on clause this, I'm going to claim on clause that. Risks were not managed proactively, and costs escalated, time got added to the project. So you end up with a bill that was bigger than you thought, a project that's later than you thought, and a feeling of, oh, that didn't work very well, did it? So let's turn that round. We started doing partnering in the late 90s. That was a sort of start to where we are today with collaboration, where we actually started to get those conversations going about how can we deal with these problems together so that we can deal with them efficiently. So we're not saying the problems don't occur, but when they do occur, we've got a remedy to that and get a good solution. It mitigates the risk, but it also mitigates the claims that might come in, and so you don't get the delays. They're dealt with at the right time, because that's often the problem with construction. If the problem occurs in the middle of the construction period, the impact can be colossal. Has all sorts of knock-on effects on the job. So get it dealt with at the right time, and then you can get your project delivered on time and to budget.
And so to that outcome, there are some quite sort of amorphous traits that sit behind that which make it quite challenging. Do you do anything around measurement, both of the effectiveness of the relationship as it's taking place and or sort of measuring the value add that you have achieved by utilising that collaborative approach?
Well, I think the first and the easy bit is probably just to say, well, did the project run to time? Did it come in at cost? If you've achieved both of those, then there's no absolute panacea that says, oh, that was because of collaboration, because you might have a contract when everything clicks and no changes occur, no risks occur. Very rare that happens. So you've got to measure straight away in hard numbers in terms of that. The actual performance of the relationship bit, that's taken a bit of doing, and we're still working on that. We've developed a behavioural maturity framework, which we're using to not only change the behaviours that people need to make collaboration work most effectively, but also give you a basis on which to benchmark how that relationship is changing. So you can then start to say, yeah, these are the measures that are coming in, this is how we're measuring it, and you can actually start to see that. But it has taken quite a while, and it's exercised a lot of minds for some time now to try and get to that, and that's still work in progress.
So, and as you say, as a work in progress, are there any results starting to emerge from that collaborative framework, or that's still very much in process?
Well, I think the results are, there may be soft results at the moment in terms of the relationships are better, so you don't have the adversarial stuff that we used to get. The projects are going forward, and they'd say they're being managed. We still have issues, so there still may well be changes that occur on the project which increase the overall cost. But you're dealing with that in a far more effective way, so that those costs are being mitigated. I think we've certainly got a much stronger handle now on the behaviours side, so that we know what the poor behaviours are, we know what the good behaviours are, and you can start to measure those through, so then you can start to see how we're correcting, that's the right word, some of the poor behaviours that can break the relationship down. And I think through the framework contracts that we've got in place, those are beginning to see the returns that both, all the parties are putting into it. But there aren't any sort of absolute numbers that you can put on that, and I think that will always be the challenge, just to try and put those sort of measures. So I think we have to accept that there's a lot of this will be soft measures ultimately.
So and as a journey, and particularly talking about highways, that's quite a good metaphor. We've started and we're still accelerating hard down the journey towards collaboration. Is it something that you feel as an organisation, Highways England, are still committed to following through, and is something that is going to be with us for a while?
Absolutely, yeah. I think the recipe of using a framework contract is all part of that, because it tends to take you away from the very transactional contracts that we've had in the past. There may still be a time and a place for transactional contracts. If you're buying small commodities that are fairly well defined off the shelf, then this probably works quite well. But where you've got risks in the project, where you've got to work on the definition and the method of working, and I think that's where a lot of the benefit comes in as a client trying, perhaps over the years we've been trying to be too prescriptive about how you might do something and what the end product is, to allow that bit more flexibility and the opportunity for others to come in and say, well, actually, if you do it this way, you get a better result, or I wouldn't do it that way. The materials that you might use might be different. The innovation part of that has perhaps been suppressed in the past, so taking a more collaborative approach should generate some innovation as well, and actually make all the parties feel a lot more positive about the contribution they can make to the final product.
Excellent. Well, in which case, hopefully, in a year or so's time, you wouldn't mind coming back and telling us how it's going, what the changes have been sort of since now, and giving us an update.
Indeed, yeah. Well, it continues to move on. As I say, collaboration isn't a new thing, so I think I'd like to think that it ceases to be the word of the moment and actually just gets part of business as usual, in which case people just naturally do it because that's the way they behave, that's the way they work.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. So, and as a last point for today, as it's the 28th of September that we're recording this, it's actually National Poetry Day, and Nick has very kindly also written us a short poem to celebrate Poetry Day as well.
Okay. Collaboration, I hear you say. For best results, it's the only way. So get the teams working together, delivering great outcomes, whatever the weather.
Thank you very much, Nick.